Nobody saw it coming, especially not this Jim Jones, the veteran of the Dipset, and Harem himself. Renowned, now detained and surrounded by bright lights, caught dead in the center of a full-blown narcotics. Despite the fact that the sirens and police scanners were operating, the investigation felt unreal. There was a lot of chatter, and the clip, which was grainy and raw, showed the rapper standing outside of a warehouse with limited lighting in what the detectives are referring to as a confirmed narcotics trade. Within minutes, social media, "What the hell is going on in the streets of this city?" Exploded. Is this a sit-up? Was he framed? Fans of hip-hop all over the world were feverishly attempting to make sense of the situation, while Harlem was blazing with gossip and speculation. Nothing stunned the internet more than what happened next. Cameron Jim's everlasting. His glance stated it all, and his colleague, brother-in-arms, and co-founder of the Dipset group went Lauderstit. Was not simply the silence that he was experiencing, the stiffness in his jaw and the tightness in his eyelids. Because of the duplicity, it was a terrible event, and the true drama began when he finally spoke. Commenced thanks to the fact that Cameron did not defend him, he did not argue it, and he only said one thing. "Y'all don't know the half, the internet froze." And now so many questions remain. Was this years in the making or the last rupture in a brotherhood based on loyalty? The whole tale is worse than anyone imagined under a dismal, overcast sky. The streets of Harlem felt colder, as usual, as news spread like wildfire. Jim Jones had been detained in relationship with the drug trade. At first, most people refused to believe it. How could the Dipset legend, the man who had climbed from the projects to global renown, become caught up in something so sordid? Everyone expected. The usual rumors, the petty online talk. But this time, there was no disputing that shaky film leaked within minutes, and the silence from Jim's immediate circle only fanned the frenzy. The clip was raw and brutal. It began with a shaky handheld shot, possibly taken by a close passerby or security guard's phone. Jim stood beside a sleek black sub in the yard behind an abandoned warehouse, his shadow emphasized by a lone street lamp. The man he was meeting wore a hooded hoodie face disguised, but the exchange was clear. A little parcel went hand to hand. Spectators heard a siren in the distant, increasing louder by the second officers. Suddenly swamped the area, their badges glinting as they barked commands. The cloaked man raced out into the night, leaving Jim. With no choice but to raise his hands, he peered head-on into the camera undisturbed, as if daring the world to judge him within seconds. The internet did what it always does. Erupted social media platforms lit up, with reposts, reaction videos, and heated discussions. "Is this real?" someone tweeted. "Did they frame him?" Another user speculated on Reddit. Hip-hop blogs spun hypotheses. Was this the power maneuver by rival crews, an inside move, orchestrated by the FI, or had Jim went back into old patterns? The speculation was continual and persistent. The man everyone wanted to hear from most was Cameron Jim's longtime collaborator and friend. But Cameron sat silent for hours. His absence of response merely made the issue worse. Was he ashamed? Was he complicit? Or was he honestly in the dark? Supporters and detractors alike clamored for a statement. Then late that night, Cameron went live on his own social network. Individuals tuned in. Virtually soon, there was no fancy background, no hype beat, just Cameron sitting alone in a dimly lit chamber, poem in hand, paced unreadable. The only sound was the distant sirens resonating through the streets, a reminder of the upheaval brewing after what felt like an eternity. Cameron broke the calm. "Y'all don't know the half," he stated, voice low, and heavy criticisms flowed in. People begged him to say more, to defend his brother, to provide context. But Cameron simply stared at the camera, his eyes exhibiting a mix of anger, disappointment, and something more: treachery. Theories began to arise on what he meant. Some people whispered that Cameron had tried to warn Jim months ago. Others suspected that Cam had evidence of a bigger conspiracy. One thing was, 4 viewers were hanging on every word, desperate for clarity. Amid a flurry of conjecture, Meanwhile, local reporters staked out outside the precinct, hoping for a statement from cops by dawn. It was reported that Jim faced charges for distribution and intent to supply an unspecified illegal narcotic reports. Stated investigators had been watching him for weeks. Surveillance imagery, phone data, and undercover operatives had allegedly sketched out a network that went from New York to Atlanta. The chemicals involved were believed to be high-end customized pills, not the traditional street narcotics. Reports in law enforcement circles stated these pills could cost thousands of dollars each pill, leading Jim Jones to facing some with hateful tags, while others left flowers and homemade inscriptions pleading for his freedom. News vans lined the street, their satellite dishes pointed skyward. Passers-by paused, recording the ruckus on their phones, adding yet more clip to the continuously rising mound of things. Back online, an anonymous poster on a popular forum claimed to have first-hand knowledge Jim's been in dire danger for months. The story read, "Tour deals are falling through. New album sales plummeted. He felt desperate. That's when he started shifting favors." The phrase "transferring favors" became an immediate meme. Some felt it was code for brokering connections, selling illegal substances for cash. Photographs from years previously surfaced, showing Jim at private parties with individuals now known to law enforcement. Each image was analyzed, every detail shortly. Then a hacked text exchange emerged between Jim and an anonymous person. The interaction was brief, but revealing. "Did you deliver the contact requested?" "All managed." Jim responded, simple: "Stay quiet. No context. No time." Only the tantalizing notion that something clandestine had been festering. That single sentence generated shockwaves. The internet. Some conspiracy theories alleged the government was targeting high-profile rappers, framing them to provide an example. Doubters referred to the paragraph as evidence of wrongdoing. The line between fact and fiction blurred as soon as the footage had spread. Jules Santana, another Dipset associate, remarked, heightened the anticipation when he published an old photo of himself with Jim and Cameron, along by the statement, "Loyalty cuts deep." Fans disputed if it was a display of togetherness or a subtle critique at Jim's apparent betrayal. The ambiguity further stoked the fire, with hashtags like Team Jules and Sucked Wearcam booming across platforms amid the digital mayhem. A local nightclub conducted a vigil for Jim customers gathered under flashing neon lights, some sporting Dipset t-shirts. Others wore sweatshirts with Jim's image printed on them. The mood was part tribute, part protest. A mural artist stood at an easel drawing an image of Jim behind bars. The words "Liberate." My brother scrolled in big letters beneath. In parallel, fans looked into Jim's recent tracks, searching for hidden clues. Words that once sounded innocuous took on new meaning. "I've been going through shadows" now sounded like a confession. Every verse became fodder for analysis. Vloggers and podcasters discussed the timing of occurrences, charting out when the alleged deals would have occurred on the legal front. Individuals close to the probe stated at a broader indictment looming, authorities were clearly developing a case that stretched beyond Jim, maybe naming co-conspirators and implying a multi-state effort. Whisperers said subpoenas had been issued to cast members of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and other reality series, probing for financial data and chats. The disclosure that Atlanta links were, it further heightened the question: might Jim's arrest be part of a crackdown on a bigger network? And through it all, Cameron's voice remained the wild card. After his initial appearance, he disappeared from social media. Fans wondered if he was negotiating behind the scenes or if his silence suggested a breach between him and Jim. A few hours later, he posted a odd image of two broken chains on his tail with no description. Hypothesis went into overdrive. Was he announcing a vacation from Jim or hinting at future freedom? Inside sources said that Rasheeda, old friend and neighbor, had confronted Jim hours before his arrest. "I begged him to leave." That life, she apparently told a confidant, he thought it was worth the risk. When contacted, Rasheeda's team made a statement expressing concern and begged people not to hurry to conclusions. The nicely worded statement did little to stop fears when night fell again over Harlem. A second video surfaced from an unknown account, This one was captured from inside the warehouse, showing Jim calculating stacks of cash on a metal table